Movie buffs, welcome back to the Movie Bay. This is D. In today's video, we're going to do Director Spotlight number 9, starring John Singleton. So without further ado, let's dive in and take a look at 8 great films from director John Singleton. And we're going to start this off with 2000's Shaft, starring Samuel L. Jackson. Also, you got a young Jeffrey Wright in here. This is where I really first got familiar with Jeffrey Wright, and he developed just into an awesome actor. But anyway, Shaft is basically a continuation of the TV show from the 70s, I do believe, starring Richard Roundtree. The nice thing about that was Richard Roundtree actually starred as Shaft Sr. Sam Jackson is Shaft's son. And there's a second movie where Sam Jackson's son is Shaft the Third. This is an alright movie. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but it was pretty good. I think Samuel L. Jackson did a great job, and Jeffrey Wright did a real good job as Peoples. Fantastic movie. I mean, it's a good movie. It's a good cop type movie. Again, like I said, it's not going to set the world on fire, but it was a decent enough movie. I enjoyed Shaft. I think Sam Jackson did a great job in the role, and to see Richard Roundtree come back as Shaft Sr. was really hot. Next up, we got 1995's starring Jennifer Connelly, Ice Cube, Omar Epps, Michael Rappaport, Christine Swanson, Lawrence Fishburne, and Tyra Banks, Higher Learning. So Higher Learning, basically this movie took place on a college campus, and you had racial tension. You had the Nazis. Michael Rappaport character was like a Nazi, and he had ongoing beef with the black students, and it led to a fatal shooting at the end of the movie. Had a banging soundtrack. Tony did a great song for this. I think it was called Deja. Fantastic movie. No, the girl name was Deja, but the song was That's All I Ask of You. Fantastic movie. Great soundtrack. Higher Learning. Dealt it dealt very heavily with racial tension. Now, speaking of another one that dealt with racial tension, you got John Voight, Don Cheadle, Esther Roll, Ving Rhames, and just a host of others in Rosewood. Rosewood came out in 1997. This basically dealt with the Rosewood Massacre. That really happened, so this movie was good, but this movie will piss you straight off watching it. It's one of those movies. It was a great movie, a fantastic watch, but again, depending on where you sit racially, it's a very tough watch. Let's see. We got Tyrese Gibson, Mark Wahlberg, Andre Benjamin, in other words, Andre Three Stacks, and Garrett Hedlund. Don't know who he is, but action, emotion, and passion. Four Brothers. Four Brothers came out in 2005. A great movie. Basically, what happened was Four Brothers, they was all they was all foster children raised in like this. It was like a semi-orphanage. A lady in the neighborhood raised them. She was a good lady. She was well known in the community, and she got caught up in a robbery that went bad, and she was killed. The Four Brothers came back for revenge. This was a solid movie. Next up, 1991's the highly controversial Ice Cube, Cuba Gooding Jr., Angela Bassett, Morris Chestnut, Lawrence Fishburne. Fantastic movie. Boys in the Hood. This movie don't really need me to say much about it. We discussed this movie several times on the channel. This movie is right up there with Menace to Society, and it's an ongoing debate which one is actually better, this or Menace. You guys know where I sit on that debate, but again, just because I think Menace is the better movie don't mean this isn't a good movie. This is the second best hood movie of all times, more than likely. Menace is number 1. This is probably the second best hood movie of all times. Next up, we got 1993's Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur, Joe Torre, Regina King, Poetic Justice. Poetic Justice. This movie was alright. This was a movie that people liked, but I watched it, and it didn't do anything for me. But I get it. Janet Jackson, Tupac, at the time they was really successful, and they was really in the spotlight. And to see Janet Jackson do a movie with a guy like Tupac, and Janet Jackson even if what they were saying was true, Janet Jackson, her people had Tupac take an HIV test for the kiss scene that they had. If that's true, I don't know how true that was, but that was the rumor. And just to see those two in the movie, I guess people was excited for it. This movie did very little for me. I watched it once, and that's all I could do. I couldn't watch this again. Next up, we got 03's Too Fast, Too Furious. So we got the follow-up to the Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious. This is the one where Tyrese Gibson and Luda make their debut in the series. Next up, and we have, last but not least, we got 2001's Baby Boy. Baby Boy, again, Tyrese Gibson, Snoop Dogg, Ving Rhames. Fantastic movie. I love this one. I think this is probably one of the better ones in this stack. So that's everything that I have. I have 8 movies from John Singleton. So without further ado, let's go ahead and recap this one. We got Baby Boy, Too Fast, Too Furious, Poetic Justice, Boyz in the Hood, Four Brothers, Rosewood, Higher Learning, and Shaft. What's my favorite movie from John Singleton that's in my collection that I actually have? My favorite, I'm going to have to go with, again, it's a very difficult watch, but it's the best movie here in my opinion, and that's Rosewood. It's a very hard movie to watch, I'm trying to tell you. But if you can get past a lot of the strong racial content, this is a solid movie. Again, that's everything. That's Director Spotlight number 9. Stay tuned for Director Spotlight 10.